Yeah, for me, in terms of achievements when he's under his administration, I think he can have a point. But then when we look at the achievements of the Borough administration, the scene.
All right, greetings, sports fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Bench podcast. Today we have a very, very controversial topic for you guys. Who is the GOAT president for the JFF? Mike Ricketts came out, weeks back and said that, look, I'm the best JFF president there ever was. But, obviously, he go and bring back Mr. the great Captain Horace Burrell. The debate will be up and running. And to help me mash up this debate or chop up the debate, CC Sports Lab. CC, what going?
There, I know, boss. Thanks for having me on today.
No problem, no problem. You're back on YouTube, so obviously people go over there and support him as usual. CC Sports Lab on YouTube. But those comments, when I heard those comments, I was wondering, it left me wondering, is it that he is the GOAT? And when you look at the results, because this is a results business, we've had the best year in football pretty much, the national teams, advancing at Youth World Cups, advancing in Gold Cup, the women's team back-to-back World Cup, the players are doing well. So it may have a point, you see, in terms of the achievements
I mean, in
overall.
terms,
It may have a point.
yeah, for me, in terms of achievements when he's under his administration, I think he can have a point. But then when we look at the achievements of the Borough administration, the Senior World Cup, the U17 World Cup, the Under 20 World Cup, so the amount of players that have left the league in that period that have left locally to go and play in England. The top of Whitmore them get by the BB Gardeners, the Fullers, the Walter Boys. Albeit, so these are the players that left in that period, that first reign of Captain Horsburgh. In the second stint that Captain Horsburgh did was 2007 to 2017. For those of you who don't know, from 1994 to 2003, Captain Burrell was the president. Then from 2007 to 2017, we would have gone to the Youth World Cup again in 2011, the Under 17 Youth World Cup. We would have gone to the CONCACAF Gold Cup final in 2015, and that was under Captain Horsburgh. Then
Right.
then transitioned into Ricketts. Ricketts now 2017 we would have gone to the CONCACAF Gold Cup. But that kind of been an hybrid because that was in Burley, but we can probably put it in Ricketts column. Then we went to the FIFA Women's World Cup twice. So that is in Ricketts column. So when you take into consideration what Ricketts has done, I think because of the time span that Ricketts would have said, like between 2017 and 2023, that's like 6 years. He would have done under his administration, we would have qualified for two Women World Cup, Senior World Cup, and we would have went to the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. So I mean, he has some claim to. I think right now is second, but then if he should win again, and then we qualify for the FIFA World Cup, he quite possibly could usurp Captain Horsburgh and be considered the GOAT at football administrator. Because if you look into it, Horace Burrell has led the federation for 19 years, and he would have led for 6 years. So if you look at
Right.
if up to that
Long-
point,
Longevity.
yeah, longevity, you could say through longevity, captain was able to achieve certain things, but through a limited time frame, Ricketts administration, whether you like it or not, was able to m- achieve the same or even more, given a shorter time frame.
And CC, not only results, but you have to look at the impact that the leader, have on football and the region. And we know that Horace Burrell was the vice president of CONCACAF, a great ambassador for Jamaica and Jamaica football. So in that aspect, he's also leading the way. I have to give him that. There's no takeaway from that. He's well
Yeah,
respected. He was well respected, in world football. And it's a long way to go for Ricketts in terms of catching up on that aspect.
yeah. I think with Horace Burrell, Captain Horace Burrell, the late great Captain Horace Burrell, it with is the connections that he had and the persons that he spoke with. He was highly respected in FIFA and in the CONCACAF region, in the Caribbean region. So he was one of those persons who had all of those connections in football. So I think in that aspect of it, Horace Burrell ticks that column, gone with that. But in the achievements aspect and in terms of the administration, I think you would have looked at Ricketts. And then if Ricketts is to win this election that is coming up, he would have won an election where more persons would have had the opportunity to be participated, or more
Yeah,
factions of the
to vote.
sporting
Yeah,
industry. So it's 56 votes, and it involves ISA, it involves women football, it involves the PGFL, it involves the Premier
PF,
League, PFGL.
PFGL.
So it involves all of these different factions of football in Jamaica. So for him to win that and go on to achieve something else, then we could also look at that and say these different sections of football in Jamaica have given confidence in in Mike Ricketts going forward as the president based on what his administration has done before. So I think with what he has said, because of the achievements, is within his right to say that, because it's under his administration. You can't take that away from him. When it comes up, you will say Ricketts administration did this,
Right,
not no individual. So
right.
Evie is there that wears the crown, but also the plaudits goes with the person who is the head.
And another column to tick off is how well they were as a administrator, how well they ran the football. And we all know the difficulties that both were having, and many may say a lot of corruption throughout the years, no matter who was leading. Um, but in Captain Burrell's time, though, CC, we didn't have social media. You're looking at 94 to 2003. So
Yeah,
social media wasn't as big. It's
I
a
mean,
telephone back then.
yeah, it
So
wasn't.
some of the stuff would get to come out, CC.
Somebody, and then we didn't have YouTube, and we didn't have everyone basically dropping a video every other day or every day, every 24 hours there's a video on Reggae Boys football and the local football. And so we have a lot more people involved. We have a greater accessibility to information now than we had back then. So to say that we could not say it is more corrupt now, because we
We don't
don't
know.
have the information
Yeah,
to
it wasn't being highlighted
really
back then.
no. And the thing about it is too, some of the things that went on in those times, people would have understood that Jamaica would have benefited from. I think even with FIFA on our own, when the World Cup was expanded to 32 teams in 1998, because you would know in Eddie that the World Cup was 24 teams in 1994, and
Right.
FIFA took a decision and they went to the table and expanded the World Cup to 32. And with that expansion, CONCACAF got a additional spot. So because of the additional spot now, that's the spot that Jamaica got. When Jamaica qualifying out, it was the additional spot that was allotted to CONCACAF. We finished in the additional spot. So if you really look into it, and persons would have been saying that FIFA would have had corruption against them years now on top of years. But then you have to also take the good with the bad, because certain things would have not happened if it wasn't done a certain way. So it's just like now when the World Cup is being expanded again to 48 teams, and CONCACAF region is getting 3 spots plus 2 berth in the playoff. So if the CONCACAF region is lucky in a sense, you might end up with 8 teams from the CONCACAF in the World Cup. Can you imagine that? 8 teams from the CONCACAF in the World Cup. So I think with everything in football, but then there would have might been corruption, but we wouldn't have accessibility to it. Even on a global scale, we wouldn't have accessibility to it. So I think with the advent of social media, the advent of YouTube on this level, on this scale, we have to take those into consideration. And I don't think we can beat the administration, because we can see where they are doing some reform. So we have seen voter reform so far, because the election coming up will be 56, and it will not just be um, presidents from the FAs. It will also be several other interests, football interests in the country. So that's one. We have seen the board reform, because they said they had 19 members on the board, and the FIFA has intervened with that, and they have reshaped it. So I think the board come down to 13 now. So we have seen reforms being done. So even though we can say, oh, there has been things that we don't see going right, reforms are being done. So I think, Eddie, in the next 3-4 years from now, we should probably be looking at a better run administration.
The future looks bright.
Yeah,
But
man. Yeah.
so there you have it, fans. Let us know in the comment section who is the GOAT president. For me, Captain is leading, barely. But with the upcoming election, if my Crickets can pull off another win, and with the Reggae Boys set to qualify for 2026 World Cup, he would have surpassed all the work by the late great Captain Horace Burren. But what say you? Drop those comments in the comment section below. I'm Eddie Gona, a CC. We're out.
This is Reggae Boy Romario Williams. You're watching Eddie Vision. Like, subscribe, and share.